Hello and welcome to what I think is going to be the best session of Realise Cloud today. Hope you'll agree. So in this session, we're going to be talking about and discussing the hype of digital twins, what they are, where they exist, where they could exist, and really, why should anyone care? So let's introduce our brilliant panelists that we've got here today. So first up, Rafe.
Good afternoon from COVID Save Melbourne. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rafe Fiorini. I'm the technical specialist for Digital Twins at Telstra, and I'm on the journey with Telstra Purple and Microsoft in developing Telstra's digital twin capability for our customers.
Thanks, Rafe. And Tim?
Hi everybody, thanks very much for having me here today. My name's Tim Simons. I'm the IT technical specialist based at Microsoft Australia, and my role is really to work closely with Telstra and Telstra Purple to enable them to deploy customer solutions that are scalable, secure and robust.
Great, thanks. And myself, Oliver Ashworth, I'm a digital services partner from Telstra Purple. My role really is to be out speaking with the customers and understanding the ever-present problems that are in their organizations and help them understand how they can be resolved through technology and look for innovation through that technology as well. So let's make a start and let's see what you guys already know about digital twins. So there's a poll on the left-hand side of your screen. So let's kick off with that. And the question really is, can you explain what a digital twin is? Yes, absolutely. I know what it is. No, probably not quite sure, or absolutely no, not on your Nelly. That's why I'm here today, to learn something. So we'll come back to the poll a little bit later in the session and see what those responses are like. So in an age where data is a valuable asset, organizations are looking to understand how their business can operate for now and for the future. So what does that mean? Why should we really be caring about that? So we'll look at some of the context on where digital twins may sit within your organization or have the opportunity to sit. And Rafe, in my role, I'm always talking to customers, and digital twin is continually coming up as part of the conversation. Could you let us know why you think that is?
I couldn't agree with you more, Ollie. I think digital twins is used in sentences as a verb, an adjective, a noun, interchangeably. It is definitely the buzzword. But the interesting thing is that digital twins aren't really new concept. If, for example, you take a flight simulator, it's a really closed-loop example of a digital twin. It simulates the physics and dynamics of flight and mimics the physical form. I think what is interesting and what is new and why people are talking about it is that all those elements, all those complex elements that actually make up a digital twin are now coalescing. Things like data density, like architectures, neural-based architectures, around machine learning and artificial intelligence, deep visualizations capabilities, and even simulation. All of those are coalescing at the right time to actually come through to make this actually mainstream.
Yeah, excellent. That's some pretty complex concepts that go into that. I can understand and visualize what a flight simulator is, but not everybody has a need or a use for a flight simulator. So why would we want to be putting data together in this way?
As much as I love a flight simulator too, you're right. I think what the benefits a digital twin provide and describes are two things. It's around providing efficiency and resiliency for a business. It provides efficiency in the sense that because of all the data and its capability and learning, it's able to provide predictive capabilities for organisations to take advantage of an opportunity that may arise or even basically tell them of a threat and not take it. The simulation capability provides the resiliency, the ability to actually run multiple simulations on a virtual asset rather than your physical that you possibly couldn't have done on the physical side provides that capability. Gartner ran some studies at the end of 2019, and they actually interviewed customers and corporations who had some sort of IoT deployment. And they found that 65% of those customers were actually going to deploy a digital twin of some sort, whether it be at an asset level like a pump or something, or all the way up to a building, in 1 year, in 2022. That's 1 year away. So there's definitely interest. So I think while not fully completely understood, why it's topical, why people are interested, is that the art of the possibilities now. What we have to do for our customers is actually cut through the hyperbole that exists and provide a pragmatic, logical way on how to actually implement digital twins from them.
Yeah, absolutely. The art of the possible is absolutely here and now, and it can be somewhat overwhelming, but very exciting at the same time. The question I always come back to my customers with is, what are you trying to achieve? What problem are you trying to solve? The symptoms are often easy to identify, but it's much harder to get to the root cause and diagnose that root cause. So Tim, I imagine in your experience that there's some interesting scenarios.
Oh, absolutely, and the scenarios continue to change and evolve, which is really exciting. And something we'll talk about a lot today is really how to lead that conversation for the ROI or internally. And really it comes down to that business value. What is the business value? There's lots of tech aspects to it, but what are companies trying to do? And a recurring theme that I see is we're looking for productivity gains. We're looking to be more efficient in our business with the resources we have. So customers are looking to pull data in from more data sets to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no longer just a science project or a proof of concept. It's been taken further than that.
Absolutely, and I've seen firsthand, the pilots and POCs for IoT have grown into production. In fact, maybe multiple IT solutions are being deployed. However, customers are becoming more mature and wanting to understand the context of their environment by pulling those different data sets in. So there is a maturity in their data analytics that digital twins plays really well with.
Yeah, great. So what would be an example of a digital twin in our everyday lives?
Yeah, so as we see in business, and what we have at the Simons household is a lot of IoT devices. But the biggest challenge we have is that interoperability, that siloed data. So, for example, if many people on this in our audience today will understand they may have a smart plug, they may have a connected doorbell, even a robotic vacuum cleaner. However, if you wanted to set up some sort of automation or process that when somebody presses my doorbell, it turns my cameras on, my lights on, or sends a robotic vacuum cleaner around to clean up all that mess before they come in, it's really difficult to do that. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't sound easy. Why do we think it's so complex?
There's a few aspects to what's difficult. Different manufacturers, different OEMs. We're talking different connectivity types. Is it Zigbee? Is it Z-Wave? Are we connecting over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi? We have different protocols and different standards that exist as well. So really that interoperability is the biggest barrier that we face.
So that makes sense at home. How do we translate that into the enterprise world?
Well, if we step outside the Simons house and look at bigger environments, the benefits are outstanding and the challenges are the same. So if you're managing a building, a construction site, maybe a hospital, we're still having those challenges, but organizations are becoming more mature and understanding that they want to own that data. It's their data, so they can start making better decisions based off that.
Yeah, exactly. So you're now armed with that information. You can make more informed decisions.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's beginning to paint a good picture now. And we've talked a little bit about the hype. Heard a short example of how those examples are live in our homes and also in the enterprise world. But let's look at what makes up a digital twin. So Rafe, should we get into some of that detail?
Yeah, absolutely, Ollie. I think if I had to ask people if they think about digital twins, that probably conjures up images of Tony Stark and Iron Man manipulating virtually things on screen to actually create physical form. And I think people get stuck on the visualization. It is definitely important, but it's the eye candy that catches all. There's a lot more to go on. The visualization layer is the canvas upon which a digital twin actually works and overlays its work. So if we take the classical example of what a digital twin is, if you look it up, it essentially talks about the virtual representation of a physical asset. But to me, it's more about how that asset actually works in the environment it's around, how it interacts with objects, people, and other things. The key here is the real-time nature of that interaction of that data. Because over time, the twin learns what's going on. It actually evolves and able to help that predictive capability moving forward. And that's the critical thing. Without that, essentially, it's not a twin. It's actually just a static point in time.
So if we were to break that down, what would you say are the core elements of a digital twin?
Oh, that's a really good question, Ollie. For me, there are 5 key factors that are the core DNA of a digital twin. The first is around data density through the proliferation of IT sensors and services out there, and the ability to get that data from A to B. Underpinning that is the new architectures that have been developed, neural-based architectures that basically would rely on data ontologies. They're not our standard, basically flat-rate databases. These are important because they allow then the machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is the third part, to actually find inferences in data that are non-observable and actually help the twin. Overlaying that is what we talked about, is the visualization layer, the canvas upon which all that data is then displayed. And finally, the 5th point, the core of all of it, is actually the ability to run simulations in real time, in that virtual sense, to actually find multiple permutations and build resiliency in the business. So all of those things together, those 5 core elements, make up a digital twin.
It's a great explanation. Thanks, Rafe. So I couldn't agree more. The visualization factor is often a distracting factor from the true value of what a digital twin is there to achieve. How about you, Tim? What's your thoughts?
Very welcome to that distraction. I love the fact that we get to play with HoloLenses, you know. So, and it's disappointing that we haven't seen those HoloLens, the Iron Man examples more often. But in reality, we are seeing that digital twins transform some industries. You may have seen videos of clips of people designing new motorbike designs and concepts using digital twins with multiple data sources. We're seeing complex spinal surgery where we're adding additional value to a surgeon to make sure that the best outcome is possible. But the reality, which Rafe talks about, is it's a lot less sexy than that, unfortunately. There's a lot of hard work and development that underpins what those visualization outcomes are. And really what that is about is developing a hierarchical ontology so that we start mapping those entities, IoT devices, people, places, so we understand what's happening in our environment. So it's really a developer-led application.
Absolutely. And Microsoft have been on this journey for many, many years. I imagine your view of twins has changed over that time.
Absolutely. I guess we started down this road many years ago, and our definition has evolved through that time. And it's working with, Telstra Purple and Telstra, who are telling us what customers need. So we actually had to go back to the drawing board and start again from scratch to create a new digital twins that is more flexible and able to address more industry needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's spot on. You'll hear in a session a little later on today with myself speaking with the Department of Defence, how we've actually got pretty close to that Tony Stark experience, leveraging the likes of HoloLens to visualize digital twins of real-time information to give contextually relevant information to the people when and how they need it in a secure way, so they can make better decisions on what they need to do. So the focus there was around a business-driven need, actually leveraging then the technology to enable that. Rafe, I imagine that you have a similar sort of experience and understanding there?
Look, absolutely. I think it's a really critical thing to talk about is actually defining the problem you're trying to solve that the digital twin's trying to actually ascribe to. Values ascribe differently to different customers. And I think if you don't define it, it actually doesn't lead to the outcome you want. So defining your problem as to what the twin's trying to solve is a key proponent for a successful digital twin deployment.
Absolutely. But there are misconceptions. And what are the common misconceptions that you encounter?
There are a few, Ollie, indeed. But one of the biggest ones I come across is the belief that when you create a digital twin, you actually create it from scratch. This cannot be further from the truth. If you understand and define the problem you're trying to solve, the first thing we do is actually create a data audit and actually look at what data actually exists in the organization. And that can be network data. It can be existing sensor data. It's only when you take the data audit, you may find some holes in that data where you basically can augment it with something. But the first step is actually understanding and leveraging what exists. And then on top of that, you decide which visualization canvas layer is best for you. It could be as simple as a single pane of glass on a BI dashboard, all the way up to a HoloLens. Those people who get the best normally get the HoloLens.
So we're doing this for our customers. Do we also practice what we preach here at Telstra and Telstra Purple?
We do. We actually are utilising digital twins across our property portfolios. The value and the problem that we ascribed to was how do we return safely back to work? So we leveraged the existing data we had from our booking systems on top of all the data coming out of our sensors on the floors. What the first thing our twin was actually looking for is identifying, for example, while 10 people may have booked desks, they may be 50 people on the floor. So in real time, we could basically alert the building manager to say there's more than the adequate amount of people on the floor. We can send a message to actually lock out the lifts or messages to people to actually vacate that site. That was the first step. What we're doing on top of that is basically looking at how we're going to actually move to the next levels. And this is increasing the data density. So using our building information systems, we're using our network data, we're using other information that we have available. And that is to understand how our buildings are effectively better utilised. It's that efficiency ratio. The one thing we're doing differently is the ability to then look at those buildings and run simulations as to why one building is actually more efficient than the other, and that's the exciting part.
That's a fantastic use case and very relevant, obviously, for the world that we're living in now. Where else would we be using digital twins?
We're currently looking at prototypes, for example, for twins for our communication towers. And again, that comes back around the efficiency and the safety around those assets. So, for example, from an efficiency perspective, the twin would look at things like how much energy is being used to power the tower on the different antenna, what's the backhaul capacity like. Contextually, how many people is that tower actually serving in real time? From a safety aspect, for example, it's understanding how the weather conditions actually affect the tower. What's the vibration levels? What's the rain? The heat that are having effects on the tower? And understanding the damage that actually happens to the tower. Again, like our buildings, what we want to do from a simulation perspective is then understand why one asset is better utilised than the other, and actually figure out how we can actually get better efficiencies across the entire portfolio.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's great to hear. There's so many of those data sets are common across many organizations, available to many organizations, even already in many organizations in various different industries. I think of mining, construction, manufacturing and so forth. We're talking buildings and assets here and towers, but they may be machines, conveyor belts, all sorts of different assets that are available there. Telstra may not, however, be the first name people think of when you think of this sort of capability. How has that changed and evolved?
Look, I think that's a very fair comment. I don't think Telstra would be first of mind when you talk about digital twins. But I think you'd be pleasantly surprised that if we had to map the capabilities that Telstra has with its partnership with Microsoft and Telstra Purple across those 5 categories of core DNAs that actually make up a digital twin, if you think about the first one around data density and transmission of data, that's Telstra's core capability. We have an entire IoT product stack that basically provides any number of sensors providing data. And obviously, from a communication perspective, that's our core capability. The next 3 around the architecture, the neural architectures, the machine learning and artificial intelligence, and the simulation capability, well, that's coming from our deep partnership with Microsoft. We're leveraging the Azure Digital Twins platform at a level, an unprecedented level, and working with Microsoft to actually deliver something that's differentiated in the marketplace. And the last one around the visualization layers, we also partner with Microsoft on that, as well as other best-of-breed partners to provide our customers not just one canvas, but any possible canvases to meet their requirements. So I think if I had to summarize why Telstra, it's the breadth, the scale, and the experience to actually provide customers with a full-blown digital twin solution.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a pretty compelling set of reasons to look at that. I can see why Telstra is investing so heavily in this space as well. But as you say, it can't be done alone, and that partnership is very important. So, Tim, can you tell me a bit about the partnership from the Microsoft perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. The partnership between Microsoft, Telstra, and Telstra Purple, you know, it's been around for a very long time, over a decade for Microsoft and Telstra, and it's a fantastic opportunity that enables Telstra Purple and Telstra customers to really benefit from new technologies. Some recent examples are Telstra calling with Office 365. We're talking about digital twins today, which is a really new platform and technology. And of course, we keep referencing HoloLens. You know, this is real, this is now, and Telstra have the capabilities through Telstra Purple to deliver this. You know, if I think about the time to market, this partnership enables with Azure native services that we can deploy at scale really quickly and not have those interoperability challenges. And that means better benefits for customers for deployment. Rafe and the team get to meet with our folks in Redmond on basically a weekly basis. So we're talking to our product managers or engineers. We're asking questions. What do we need in this platform to meet your requirements? What are your customers asking for? So that is helping us frame our roadmap, our feature set to align to the customer's needs. You know, from my view, the maturity of the digital platforms is by far the best and most mature I've seen across the world. So, and this is a real testament to our relationship and our weekly catch-ups.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's quite a privileged position to be in, and we're obviously very grateful to be working together with that. Well, gents, I certainly feel that I've learned a lot today. Let's have a look back at the poll question and see what sort of responses came through from that. So if we look at what the question was originally, can you explain what a digital twin is? The large majority here, nearly 60%, no, not on your Nelly. So it's very interesting to see at the start of this session where people's thoughts were around that and their level of confidence in their understanding. Wonder if we were to do the poll next, if that has changed after what we've talked about today. So let's see if there's some questions also from the audience. So we've got one here. Where do I start in building a digital twin? Rafe, would you like to take that one maybe?
Well, I'll take that one. I think the very first thing you should do, I think, as we've sort of talked through this, is actually sit down and work out what problem you're trying to solve. Don't boil the ocean. Once you actually understand and actually use a design workshop, for example, from Telstra Purple to actually hone in on what those issues are, you'll be able to then move to the next step, which actually take that data density audit. Do you have data that exists in the organisation that actually can solve that problem? And then once that's done, you can fill any gaps with any other solutions, and then choose the visualization layer. It's only at that stage can you really move into the development of the twin itself.
Excellent. We've got another question in here as well. Is where do I even start in this journey? I'll probably take that one, actually, thinking about it, because that's what I'm often asked by the customers is where do I start? So I try and advise them to start small and start simple. It is a big elephant that you're potentially trying to eat in this sort of a situation. When we're dealing with data with large and complex organizations, there's a whole host of different impactors that can go into that process. We need to think about what is the strategy of the organization? What are you trying to achieve? Where are you trying to go as an organization? And what are you trying to deliver to your customers and to your people as well? So when we start to look at all those complexities that sit inside the digital twin, when we're looking at the network layer, we're looking at the data availability, we're looking at where that data sits, where it can be, is it available currently in terms of where it sits? Is it on-prem? Is it in cloud? Can I leverage it? What other data sets do I want to be leveraging through, as we were talking about, the OEMs and the SCADA systems and so forth? It can be a really complex problem that you're trying to solve. So let's break that down and make it as simple as possible for us to try and tackle. So let's look at who are you trying to solve that problem for? What is the pain point that's being shown up? And what sort of value do you want to attribute to that as well, as assigning that value to it? And start looking for those easier to solve scenarios where the data is potentially available for you, that can be made sense of. And you've really worked out, what question am I asking of that data to understand what it is that you want to learn and then share throughout your organization, or then leverage to build either products or services or offerings out to the marketplace. So we've heard a lot today. I hope that it was a very valuable insight for you. The art of the possible is definitely here. It's real, it's now. So don't be shy to actually go and tackle these sorts of problems. Innovation is different to different people. It may be about bringing in some shiny tech, but it may also be very much about changing a process or understanding how you can do something better with what you've got. So here at Telstra Purple, we love to answer those problems. We have the capability to come in and help you with that. So feel free to reach out. Have a think about where you are on that journey. Have a think about which areas of your business are the ones that are going to benefit mostly from this sort of an opportunity. And hopefully we can find you some valuable answers there. So I'd like to thank my panelists here, so Tim and Rafe, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
And of course, thank you very much to everybody listening.